All right. Welcome back to the Living in Alignment podcast. I'm your host, Amy Starr Allen, and I am joined today by the beautiful, wonderful, gorgeous Leann Wolff. And Leann Wolff is a visionary human design professional and BG5. I don't even know what that means, but I'm sure she's going to tell us. Business and career consultant, renowned for her dynamic approach to living a self-actualized life within the bustling business world. With more than a decade of experience, Leann is a true trailblazer in guiding clients toward complete alignment with their business through the fusion of human design and manifestation practices. As a financial institution manager, Leann orchestrated high-performing teams that consistently outpaced revenue targets. However, a pivotal moment in 2012 reshaped her life's path. Despite her seemingly enviable life, escalating stress was slowly eroding away at her well-being. The struggle climaxed with a fleeting blackout on a busy highway, etching a wake-up call in her consciousness. In that transformative instant, Leann resolved to embark on a profound journey to honor her calling and embrace a purpose-driven existence. Leann's forte lies in empowering business owners to self-actualize the potential of their business vision. Through tailored coaching, she aids clients in rediscovering their authenticity and guides them through the blueprint of their natural superpowers. By demystifying the realms of human design and manifestation, Leann empowers entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, and visionaries to wield these tools effectively, propelling their businesses and lives to triumphant heights of alignment and achievement. Today, Leann inspires the new generation of coaches and spiritual entrepreneurs to let go of the shoulda, woulda, coulda mental chatter so they can embrace and embody the destined direction of their full potential. In a world often consumed by conformity, Leann Wolff shines as a beacon of the possible. Ooh, I just got chills. Epitomizing the exhilarating journey of self-actualization amid the ever-evolving realm of business. And I literally have tears in my eyes right now. Oh my gosh.
That seemed
What a
like a really
bio.
long, a really long
It's
bio. That's funny.
so good though. Oh my God.
I
I
love
have
it.
like all of these things that jumped out that I want to talk about it. But
Cool.
before we get into all that, I just want to say thank you for being here, Leann. And we're going to talk about human design today, and I'm super excited for this conversation. I know that it's a very hot topic, and I know you've been doing this for a really long time, but I think
Yes.
a lot of people are just learning about it now, and it's becoming kind of like a trending topic maybe in this day and age, but it's not a new thing, right?
No.
And I know that you're an expert in it, and I can't wait to dive into this. So before we do that, though, I'd love for you to just say anything that you want to say to fill us in on who is Leann Wolff,
Well,
besides the 7 paragraphs I just read.
that's so funny. So on top of that, I'm a cattle rancher as well.
Woo.
So I have this beautiful 360-acre cattle ranch that I get to just hang out and be me on as well. So I I love human design. I geek out on it all the time. And it found me after I left my banking career. I gave myself a year to decompress. I was able to be on the farm, just kind of just let all the stress go. And one day I just typed into the computer, new age business, because I knew I was ready to go, be of service, step back into the world, and human design popped up.
Mm.
And then it just kept bumping into me for about 2 weeks. Everywhere I went online seemed to just bang, bang, bang. I'm like, okay, I got to look deeper into this. And that's when I found the original teacher, Ra Uruhu. His website popped in and I jumped in with both feet. I took every single class at the International Human Design School and the BG5 Business and Institute. So that's where the BG5 comes in. That's what they call their business aspect of human design.
Okay.
And I just leaned in and I learned the entire system right down to the very, you know, base of it. And I just noticed that my design is very much in tuned with entrepreneurial And that's also been our journey for the last 15 years, is that we are both, my husband and I are both entrepreneurs. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I leaned into that, because that's my experience. So
Mm-hmm.
I stuck with that because I could see how easily the online space can pull a person into like a pit of demise if you're not in
Mm-hmm.
alignment, right? So
Yeah,
that's why I
totally.
leaned into that.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I love this bio. Like I love how you talk about living a self-actualized life within the bustling business world, right? Because it's
Mhm.
not that easy to do. Even
Yeah.
some of the I've done a lot of like spiritual retreats and stuff where I go into silence for 10 days at a time or whatever.
Mm.
And it's like, I just want to stay here forever kind of thing. But then you come back out into the world and you're like blissed out in this peaceful, or this has been my experience anyway. It, I get grounded and I'm in this peaceful, blissed out state, and I swear I'm going to be able to stay there. But then you get into the world and each day it gets a little bit harder and you start to lose
Yeah.
that, that sense of, peace, because it is a bustling business
Mhm.
world and it is a keep up with the Joneses and comparisonitis and all of the things. And
Yes.
so, yeah, so I can't wait to hear what you have to say and to recommend to anyone listening to this.
And, it's so funny because I have a mentorship group, and when we all want to talk and say what we love about human design, we're like, "We love this the most about human design," right? And it's so funny because we start off so many conversations like that. But what I love the
Mhm,
most about design is that it's not a belief system, it's an experimentation.
mhm,
And leaning into it, like, you all of a sudden, like, for me, in my experience, it's, like, so true. And when I don't fall into the trap of going to all the openness. So if your audience wants to, they can go to my website, powerofself.ca, grab a chart. If they don't already have a chart, they might already have their chart. Excellent. But any of the openness, anything that's white in the body graph, these are energy fields that other people are designed to hold, and then we're designed to gain wisdom from that. Okay.
mm, mhm,
But what we do, right? This is our conditioning, is that we try to get better at those areas. We try to think that, oh, I lack this, so I need to go get it and make
mm,
sure I'm better at it. And that's human design teaches you, no, no, no. Go to all of your definitions. Everything's activated in your chart. You lean into that and you represent that. And when you represent that, because it's always there, it's always available, now all of a sudden the peace of mind, the frustration, all of those things that are pulling you off track, you can come back because you're like, oh, it's all that openness that's trying to pull you off track.
mm,
Just come back to your activations and go, oh, no, this is me. This is how I make decisions. This is how I'm designed to interact with the world. Because it's like our designs they're almost like docking stations, Amy. What is us? Other people are coming to us and going, hey, I want to learn that.
mhm,
And what's white, that's that's the people that are going to come into our world. So it's like these little docking stations that happen so that we can all gather the wisdom that we need to gather.
mm,
And when we can lean into that, then we can live in that state of self-actualized alignment like 95% of the time.
oh my gosh.
Does that
That's
make
amazing.
sense to you?
Yeah. So in your bio where you're talking about how you guide people through the blueprint of their natural superpowers, is that
Yeah.
kind of what you're talking about? Are the natural
That's
superpowers the same thing as the docking stations?
so the natural superpowers are what is actually like all the planets activate different gates in your chart. Okay. So
Mhm.
your natural superpowers are what basically those planets have said, hey, Amy, you're going to be really good at all this. Poof, we're going to put it into a design. And we're going to ask you to operate from this superpower place. Okay. So for yourself, your intuition, your capacity to concentrate, to go to those, silent retreats and sit and just concentrate and go deeper and go deeper and go deeper and fall into the abyss of the information is so important, because then when you come out, you can recognize, oh, I can show people that when they're in a state like that, now all of a sudden they don't have to live in that world of competition. They can put themselves first in their world. And in that, their families and their communities actually grow stronger. That's your superpower. Okay. When you actually make decisions for yourself that don't break down your physical body or your, mindset, now all of a sudden you represent who you are. And when you represent who you are, then your body gets stronger. You are that superpower that can go out there and go, no, I'm going to represent this and nothing's going to pull me off track. Okay.
So this is why you talk about helping people live at their full potential, because you can't really live at your full potential unless you're embracing your superpower.
Exactly. Yep. If you're not, if the conditioning, right, which the conditioning is that nasty little narrative, right, that goes shoulda, woulda, coulda, blah, 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 right? And it's always in the way and it's always trying to pull you off track. If that narrative is getting in the way, then your superpower actually isn't shining bright. It's not shining out there into the world. Right? Once we lift that conditioning and we put it off to the side, because that narrative, that mind chatter, it's always going to be there. We just don't give it any power anymore. We come back to our superpower, we shine that out to the world, and the world goes, oh, that's exactly what I need. It's like your Batman signal that goes, that's exactly what I need. So then your clients come towards you, correct relationships come towards you. Everything gets built off of this capacity to hold true to that superpower.
I love this. So have you found that since you've learned this and about like what's true about yourself and your chart, like what are some of the things that you've seen happen since you've become just with the awareness of what it is for you, like what your chart says?
So what I loved is that it was like a confirmation for me. And like this, the confirmation said, listen, this has always been you. And I could see all aspects of my life, how my design was showing up. So what happened is then I got to recognize, oh, how is that conditioned mind trying to hold me back from that? Where do I get pulled off? So for me, it was so much of a confirmation that I knew it to be true immediately. Right? So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think sometimes that confirmation is all we need to really, start to move forward. Yeah. So what are there 4 types?
Yep.
Okay. So can you talk a little bit about like, for anybody that isn't familiar with human design, like how do you define it? Like what are the types or the buckets that people might end up in, or,
Sure.
anything you want to say to kind of what is human design?
Right. So at the core, the system itself is like this awakening and acceptance tool, right? You awaken to the confirmation of who you are, and then you can accept yourself and you can accept others. Okay. So in that process, the foundational tool is decision making. Because when we're making decisions correctly for our physical bodies and our minds, our mental well-being, then everybody wins in the game. So when we're looking at the types, what we're doing is we are looking at how the aura operates. Okay. And then what it does is it gives a strategy on how to then dock with other people or interact with other people. Okay. So for yourself, you're a generator. I'm a manifesting generator. That is one type, even though there's lots of controversy and they want to make it into two types. It is one type because it is one aura field, and that aura field is open and enveloping. So what the generator and the manifesting generator are truly here, they will have that red square towards the middle of the body graph, but below middle. They'll have that defined for your audience. And what that definition is it's the life force. It's the energy field that kind of keeps everything, moving on our planet. So we are designed to respond. People will request our energy. We are what they call builders in the business terminology. Okay. So people will request our energy, and then we get to respond and say, yes, I have available energy. No, I don't have available energy. That's truly as simple as it is. And when you and I are operating through listening to that response mechanism, what you and I will recognize is that we lean deeper into satisfaction because we're no longer using our energy or letting that conditioned mind make decisions for us. And when the conditioned mind makes decisions for you and I, our type, we get pulled into frustration because then we're using our energy for things that aren't correct for us. We're trying to operate outside of who we are. But when we're operating and trusting that response mechanism, then we're satisfied because we're representing our superpower correctly. Okay. And that noise that you're making, that when your sacral center, that's what the response mechanism is. When it knows that there's a truth, it will make that noise in a conversation. The head will be like, oh, shaking. It'll be nodding. It'll be, It's always saying, oh, I have available energy for this, or I don't. So we are designed to respond. Okay. And you and I have no choice around it. Anybody that is a generator or manifesting generator, you'll notice that your body's always moving and responding to the conversation. Always doing that.
Interesting.
Then we have our manifestors. Okay. Our manifestors are designed to make an impact. And that impact truly is they are here to open doors and creative spaces for the world to move into a new, innovative, creative space. So they are designed to inform people that they are going to make this impact. And when they do that, the door opens. I see them as Moses. They split the seas. People move through. And the manifestor is designed for that. They have this real, it's closed and repelling aura. And that's not a bad word. What that does is it moves, it literally moves mountains. It literally creates cracks in time and space that other types can't do. Okay. So for your manifestors out there, when you hear that your aura is closed and repelling, don't take that as negative, because it's not negative. It is so positive, because you are the only type that has the fortitude and the wherewithal to make creative, innovative spaces for us. Now we have two more types. We have the projectors. They're here to advise and guide. That guidance comes from, first, they have to know their own superpowers, like what are their strengths inside of their design, so that they can be guiding from that place. And how they know whether or not that guidance will somebody will be able to adopt it into their life is through invitation, because the projector has a very focused and penetrating aura. And because of that, they can penetrate into, they're really designed to work with generators and manifesting generators. They penetrate into our auras and they see things that we can't see. However, they need to be invited to do that. So they will get noticed and recognized when they are sitting in their superpower and they are coming from a place of success, feeling success in themselves. Then you and I will go, oh, they can guide us. They can help us. They can give us advice. Then we can invite them in to do that. Okay. And then our last one is our reflectors. Our reflectors are like the cosmic evaluators. They are these mirrors that they're designed to be initiated into large groups, into communities, so that they can give an objective evaluation And for them, it's really important to recognize that they have a very unique way of making decisions. And it's one that they actually follow the lunar cycle. Okay. They're designed to really lean into the lunar cycle. And when they do that and they make decisions based off of their charts and that lunar cycle, they will then be able to move into a community, be in a group situation, and then reflect out what's working and what's not working in that organization. And when they just allow for that time and space and lots of patience, they have this sense of awe at how, like, it's totally surprising to them how things actually work. But if they try to get really spontaneous, they'll notice that they're in disappointment.
Hmm.
So it's fun to just kind of watch. Like, we have our builders, they're here like building the world. We have our advisors that are advising on that building. Then we also have our manifestors who are creating this, crack in the time-space continuum so that we can continue forward, building and creating and moving forward. And then we have our reflectors that kind of just sit in the middle of all this and go, hey, we're on track or we're off track. So each one works its own magic in amongst the whole.
So when you say you're a manifesting generator, what does that mean?
So it's a type. So generators and manifesting generators, it's the energy type that we hold. And again, it goes back to that open and enveloping aura.
So does that
Yeah.
mean you have some manifestor and some generator, or are you
Um,
just a generator?
so what happens is at first we are designed to be asked and requested. So we're first and foremost, we're generators. But once that answer has come and when we're moving forward, we actually can manifest fairly swiftly. Right. Now, I'm going to give a caveat to that because it depends, of course, on the definition. Like for yourself, you're a triple split, your generator triple split.
What does that mean?
What that means is that you're going to respond, but how you're going to manifest is going to be a little bit slower because you're designed to actually go and be around people and immerse yourself, like go to coffee shops or go to the mall or be around different groups of people to accumulate some energy, and then you get to manifest. Okay. For
Yeah,
myself,
that's so
okay.
weird because I get depleted when I'm around people. I don't get energy from people. Like I have to go off and be by myself. Like if I'm at an event, I like go to my hotel room as much as I can to like re-energize. So
Yes.
it's interesting that you're saying that I need to go to coffee shops to get what I need because it's the last thing I want to
So
do.
how do I say it's not you're going to get what you need. What you do is you gather wisdom around. So let's just play with your chart. Okay. So you gather wisdom around, like, what is the conflict that's good? Like, what's the crisis that people are in? Okay. You're going to learn that. What's the crisis that they're in? What kind of stories are they telling themselves? Okay.
Mhm.
So the depletion aspect, how do I want to say this? It's for you, it's more about you need to break the bond because that's how you're designed. However, going in there and just being an investigator and just watching, okay, just watching it all. Oh, I see a crisis here. Oh, I see these people telling this story. Now, all of a sudden, what happens is just watch it versus allowing it to drag you down. You now just get to watch it. And then when you walk away to use your superpowers, then you get to help people lean into a more cohesive direction for themselves, right? Yeah, as a business coach, right? That's what you're helping people do on your YouTube channel, right? You're providing a different direction for them. Okay. You're also helping them recognize, oh, here's a space where you can learn about yourself. Maybe it's a Facebook group, right? Here's some different things you can learn. Now, can you commit to those? Okay. You're also helping people understand their own schedules and like is what schedule is good for them. I see that you had a whole thing about content on there, right? Scheduling content, doing these things, being committed, and having a cohesive flow to this. So it's, how do I want to say it? It's not that you get the energy, but you get the wisdom of what are the problems out there. So now you get to come back and actually represent and show them a way.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that was a full body. Yep. That's exactly what I do. Like I can't even help it.
Yep. Yep, exactly. And that's how you're designed. So you immerse yourself, but of course it's that retreat that has to happen so that you can then go, oh, I heard this, I heard this, I heard that. I can put some things together and now I can go out and help my people.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That totally makes sense.
Yep.
So, and just so you guys know, anybody that's listening to this, before we started this recording, Leann asked me for my birth date and location and time of birth, which is what you need to pull up your chart. So that's why she knows this stuff about me, because she literally pulled it up as we were getting on the podcast. She has not studied it ahead of time or anything like that. But she's kind of working on the fly here. But just in case anyone's wondering how she knows that I'm this, it's because she asked me those questions beforehand. And so I know you said this, but on her website, you can go and enter in that information and get your chart.
Yeah.
So you can see what you are, which is really cool.
Yep.
So for anybody that does go ahead and do that, what would you suggest as far as like, so they get their chart and it says this, like what should they be looking for, or what would you recommend that they do with that information? Like the first couple things that you would recommend that they use it for?
So the very first thing is always to start to realign your decisions to your strategy and inner authority. Okay. And sometimes it's also called decision-making strategy, which I think I have that as the chart in the chart that you're going to pull up on my website. Because what happens is when you can start to trust the intelligence of your body to make decisions, what that does is it frees up your mind to then begin to help you recognize your purpose. And it frees up the mind from all the clutter of the conditioning, right? Oh, you're not good enough. Oh, you need to please these people. Oh, you have to find your self-worth by getting yourself a Gucci purse. You have to, take action on things that aren't correct for you. All these different things start happening in the mind that clutter all of that. So when you start to align to the decision making, now what happens is the mind can now go out and, this is kind of the manifestation technique is, what do you really want to like have in your life? Okay. First, you need to align to the signature in your decision making. So for you and I, it's satisfaction. Can you feel satisfied? Right? Be in that state of satisfaction. Change the frequency of your actual energy field to feeling satisfied. And now all of a sudden, things start to change. For our projectors, it's success. For our manifestors, it's peace. And for our reflectors, it's awe and surprise. So we can elevate our energy frequency to those signature emotions or feelings. Now what happens? We're making decisions. We're honoring that sensation. Now the mind goes out and goes, okay, you want whatever it is, a new home, a vacation, a new relationship, whatever that looks like. Now the mind can actually be your ally. It can go out and go, oh, this is what you want. This is the feeling that you're having. So you also want to connect with people that are satisfying, that feel successful, that feel like they're at peace of mind, that they're in this state of awe and surprise because like the world is great. Now all of a sudden, the mind helps you go out and see all those potentials. And then it brings the potentials to you. Now you get to decide which potential is correct for me. discernment and decision-making are the key tools of human design. Because all of these potentials are there. Now you align your energy and you make that decision, poof. Now you take that step and your purpose is right there. All your superpowers and your strengths, your capacity are all there. Will sometimes that might be a challenge. Yeah, it might be. It might feel like a challenge sometimes. But it's okay, because in those moments of challenge, that's actually where we grow the most. But it all comes down to decision making. So if anybody's going to my website, go to the decision making. Strategy and authority, decision making strategy is key. And what they're going to find is they can go to my YouTube channel, which you did before this as well, Amy. I have a plethora of information on there. So when they grab the chart where it says career type, they click on that. It will take them to the YouTube video that teaches them about their career type and how they're best designed to make decisions.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's not just a chart. You're giving them a video, and
yeah,
it's very customized to whatever their
Yeah.
type, whatever their chart says.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's next level premium service.
Yep. I love it. This is what I do, as you can tell. I get deep into this.
I can tell. So, all right. So let's talk to, as I told you, my audience are primarily entrepreneurs. And so how can somebody use human design for their business? Like, would they use it to like switch to a different niche? Would they use it to realize they're in the complete wrong business altogether? Would they use it to just up level the business that they have? All of the above, none of the above?
All of the above. So let's go back to alignment, right? If you're not in the business that's correct for you, you're totally going to know it, because you're living in frustration. You're living in bitterness. You are living in anger, and you're living in disappointment. And all of those energy fields seem to be present. Okay. So once you get out of that, because all of that is taking us into shoulda, woulda, coulda, conditioned thought patterns. I'm an entrepreneur because I thought I was going to be able to have freedom, and then there's no freedom there. Or I'm an entrepreneur because, I thought I could be, whatever, this $100 billion coach, or whatever it is, right? All these thought processes that go on. And then they get in there and they're spending money and time and energy, and they're totally not in alignment with that. Okay. So human design can help with that, because once we start making decisions, realign to center, there is no actual quote unquote thought that has to happen, because everything shows up for you. And you just have to decide and lean into what comes forward. The other one was niche. So I don't know if other people see niches like this, but I see the niche as your experience. Okay. So I look at your openness. For example, Amy, in your chart, you have an open head center and an open ajna center. Then I look at your splits, the gates that would, bridge together all your energy field. And I go, oh, Amy's really good at helping people focus on what they're designed to focus on. Think differently, think more accurately. I see that Amy can help people become more certain in the direction that they want to go. I see Amy as someone who can help people recognize that, the crisis that's happened in their life, all those moments where life felt really difficult, were actually a training ground for them, so that they could move through and be more in themselves. I can go through your whole chart and look at this, right? And when we do that, that tells me, well, your niche can be definitely entrepreneurs, okay? But also, what's going on mentally with those people? So you can do so much with mindset, because you've had to learn that, because you have an undefined ajna center, open head center. So you've had so much experience learning what the mind is, that now you can turn around and help other people with that. Would this be accurate for you?
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually obsessed with the subconscious mind, and I've studied and I've gotten
Yes.
certified in things, and like it's like a rabbit hole for me that I can't get out of. Kind of like human
Yeah.
design is for you. It's like
Yeah.
I want to understand the mind
Yep.
as much as
Exactly.
possible.
Yep.
And that's kind of like what I teach is primarily like I get technical with strategy, tactical, technical and tactical with like marketing strategies and stuff like that. But on the flip side of that, it's the personal development, spiritual development conversation is a huge
Yes.
part of what I want to talk about.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I haven't, like I don't want to put myself in a box. I've tried to like say, okay, well, my niche needs to be more specific. It needs to be like one or the other or a branch of this thing. Like I focused solely on like blogging for a while. Like that was my narrowed down thing. And I felt so constrained. And I'm like, never.
Mm.
I have such a bigger purpose than talking about
Yep.
blogging. Like
Yep.
I want to help people with all of the things when it comes to getting their message out there and marketing. All these marketing strategies are part of that, but
Yes.
that's not, there's more to it's like bigger than that. And so
Yep.
that's where like that personal development, spiritual development, those conversations. I mean, I talk about plant medicine. You know what I mean?
Right.
It kind of seems weird that somebody that teaches how to market is also talking about plant medicine, but that's me. And I don't want to put
Yeah.
myself. So
Yep. And I look at, okay, so your profile is a 3-5. Okay. And then I look at your nodes, with like the nodes of the moon. Okay. And they're also a 3-5. So what that tells me right away is that like marketing messages, that's so important to you, but that's also important to who you're speaking to. Okay. Because
mhm.
they're along, the nodes are like our pathway. They're like our trajectory. Okay. The sun, earth, your profile, that's actually your like your public role, how other people see you. Okay. But then I look at this 3. I also have this in my profile. Like you and I are going to break bonds with concepts all the time. Okay. We are going to make and break bonds. So we learn one thing, we extrapolate what we need to, and we break the bond with that concept. And then we come over here, but we extrapolate this and we bring it over here and we blend it in and we mix it all up and we alchemize it over here with this. Because I'm a true believer that there isn't one thing that's going to fix everything,
Yeah.
right? And your people are also that same aspect. They like to make bonds, break bonds. Okay. Now, whether that be with a concept, whether that be with a friend, whether that be with a career, whatever that is, it's going to happen in your life and the people along your fractal line. Okay. So niching for me is based off of your experience. And then I go into the design and go, okay, but what does your fractal line, the nodes of the moon, what do they want from you? Well, they want to understand how to get their message out there without tarnishing their reputation. You get to teach that because you also have a 5 in your profile. So understanding that your reputation is malleable because you're also a 3rd line. So today you might have been a blogger, but tomorrow you might be a plant medicine advocate and be talking about that. And then the next
Mhm.
day you're talking about Facebook groups. That's all good because it's all around mindset. All of those aspects that you're talking about truly come back to mindset,
Yeah.
right? Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. But like, so does it matter when I'm talking to, when you say like this is what my target audience
Yep.
wants from me,
Yep.
does that mean that they're of the same type or does that
No.
not matter?
They are going to be 5th line people and 3rd line people. Okay. And you're like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, again, 3rd lines are more entrepreneurial. Okay. They're more entrepreneurial. They like business. Sometimes they struggle on the material plane. But what you get to do is you get to help them tap into like their own intuition around that, right? Would that be correct assessment that you're helping people
That's
around
one of the
intuition?
biggest conversations I have all the
Okay.
time,
Yeah.
and how I live is by intuition. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you're helping those people on the material plane do that. Now you also have the fives. Okay. So again, it's about reputation. So your people that you're speaking to, they're like, oh my God, if I don't get this right the first time, I'm going to be persecuted. Nobody's going to like it. They're going to stop following me. All these things go through a fifth line's mind. But it's like, no, your message, like quote unquote, your mess is your message.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
what you have a superpower of doing is universalizing a message, taking a whole bunch of information and kind of bringing it to your people. Your people are learning that skill from you because they are then going to go out and do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be a correct assessment?
Yeah. Yeah, that totally makes sense. So I know um I mentioned that I wanted to bring this up.
Yeah.
The conversation about multiple streams of income and
Mm-hmm.
the multi-passionate thing, because this is kind of like what we're talking about here. We're like, I don't want to
Yeah.
be put in a box,
Yes.
but some people say that you should really niche yourself down, or that you should only have one stream of income because otherwise you're spread too thin.
Right.
So I'd like to hear what you have to say about the multiple streams of income and the people that do feel like they're multi-passionate, and they're
Yeah.
confused about what they should be
Mm-hmm.
focusing on, or what they should be teaching, or what kind of business they should have.
Yeah. So I would say first and foremost, tap back into like your decision making for sure. And then your signature. So the energy field again, satisfaction, peace, awe, and success. Out of all of the ways that you can earn money and bring money in, get one off the ground first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I help like go there first, get one off the ground, have it so that it's kind of systematized, right? And then you can bring people in as well to help that grow so
Mm-hmm.
that you can then branch off and be as multi-passionate as you want to be. But always remembering you want to so deeply come back to that signature frequency, because if any of your businesses are created out of lack, frustration, anger, bitterness, those dense energies, they're never going to fly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Desperation.
yeah, total desperation, right? And again, your fractal line of people are third line people. So sometimes they struggle on the material plane. Okay. They struggle to earn enough. And then they let their minds chase after, oh, you can be a 10K a month coach. Oh, you can earn 100K trading stocks. Oh, you know what I mean? They start chasing after these dollar figures and doing all this stuff, and then nothing gets off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So in my opinion and my belief and in my experience, get one thing off the ground, get it to a place where it's actually, paying for itself. And then you go into as many as you want. But make sure you have
So,
one stream, right?
so how would somebody know what that one thing would be if they have multiple passions? Is there a way, just based on their chart, that they would know exactly which one to start with, or does it not matter?
So it would take a conversation, to be honest with you, because I would want to look at their uniqueness. But again, with your people, I would say lean into what is the most satisfying. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What is the most satisfying? And your people might go, yeah, but my most profitable isn't my most satisfying. Well, then why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's not satisfying, it might be earning you an income, but then it's blocking all the energy field for all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I never look at quote unquote, I never recommend to my people, go for it and break down your body, get your mental health in a state of demise for money. I never ever say that because I don't think it's right.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to
Hustle
be
and
in
grind.
alignment. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. Like, I really do. I think it's crazy because it's an indoctrination field, right? And it gets us in a trap.
Mm-hmm.
So lean into the most satisfying. The most satisfying might not be the most profitable. However, the most satisfying will pay your bills if you allow it to. Okay.
And then you're saying because you're now in alignment, it's going to open up other gateways for other things where
Yes.
if you're doing the thing that doesn't satisfy you, you don't have those gates are closed.
Yeah.
Basically.
And I would say that, like, you're chasing instead of attracting.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Yeah.
when we're in a state of chase, that totally taxes our adrenal glands. But when we're in a state of attraction, like, it's effortless. It's just so in design, because there's the personality and the design. Okay. So when your people pull up their charts, they're going to see it. There's two different, like, energy fields that come together in the body graph that create all of this.
Mm-hmm.
But how that comes together, Ra calls it the monopole. Okay. There's an energy frequency right behind our sternum that's like our attraction factor. And it's effortlessly holding us together. Totally effortless. Like, it's effortlessly holding your personality and your soul to your body. You don't have to think about that, right? You don't have to make that happen. And it's the same when we're in business. Allow for the attraction factor to bring what needs to be brought forward. Those clients will come, those businesses that are in alignment, the relationships, the partnerships, all of that stuff will come. But when we are flipped upside down and we're not operating like that and we're chasing, it's like being on a merry-go-round and being on the outside, right? Your legs are flailing out and you're like, oh my God, and you're just trying to hold on. But when you
Mm-hmm.
sit in the middle of the merry-go-round, like, you have all of this potential out here, all of it that can come
Yeah.
towards you. Like, I don't know. That's what I look at. It never chase, because it's never ever going to be in alignment if you're chasing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love this, and this even comes down to like what I believe as far as marketing too. Like if you're putting out value, the right people will find you as opposed to
Yes.
chasing the wrong people and trying to shove what you have in their face and
Yeah.
get them to buy something that they don't want or need.
Right.
So it works the same way. And I love that merry-go-round
Yeah.
analogy. Um, so as far as like business relationships, like let's say you're an entrepreneur and you have a business partner or partners, or you work within like a community of people or a group of people. Should everybody, like, let's say how you operate, you've done your chart. Do you need everybody else around you to know theirs in order for you to all like work ultimately like in the best way together? Or does you being, knowing yourself on that level make a difference even if nobody else even knows what human design is?
So yes and yes. Is it beneficial to know and have other people operating at their highest level around you? Of course, right? Because then the communication is just seamless. It just happens because everybody's honoring each other. We're communicating correctly. We're asking, all these things are happening. However, we all know, because, this is what self-development teaches us, is that as we change ourselves, our environment changes.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're making decisions correctly, what happens is that reactivity of the conditioned mind, right? That's usually speaking from a place of trauma or past traumatic events, right? It's not in the communication anymore. It's not operating in the situation anymore. So once you're less reactive, then your environment becomes less reactive, because you're not allowing it to trigger the worst aspect of you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I mentioned I stayed with a dear friend of mine and his wife for like a week, and they're both very well versed in human design. They don't teach it like you do, but they both really understand it, and they know each other's types, and they speak to each other from that place and to
Mm-hmm.
that place. You know what I mean? Like she's a projector, so she's not good at this, so I'm not going to put that over there. So I, like that. Like, and I was kind of fascinated by the way that they communicate with each other
Yes.
because they know each other, they understand human design, and they know each other's type.
Yep.
So I can
And
see how that would make a huge difference in business. And they do work together in a business, so that.
mm,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's huge. Um, I think this is, of course, I'm very biased because I really appreciate human design and being able to recognize how it just operates in the world. So I truly believe that going forward, entrepreneurs and businesses are going to have this as their quote unquote personality test instead of the Myers-Briggs and the Enneagram and all that stuff that just operates like uses questions that makes your mind go, oh, well, I should do this or I should say this. Oh, if I say this, are they gonna hire me or not? All that. It's just your birth data. Poof,
Mhm.
done. And then from there, then like what I learned in the business aspect of this is team engineering. So you start to build teams so that everybody gets utilized correctly
Yeah.
instead of they're, being stepped on and somebody trying to, do a job that they are totally not designed for.
Mhm.
So I truly, I am a huge believer that this is, in the next 20 years, I think that organizations worldwide will have this as their main way of creating teams.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, I'm anti the other tests. I've never been able to do it because when I read a question, I can't even answer it. Like I'm like every answer or most of the
Yes.
answers. So I'm not red or yellow or whatever. Like I'm everything. And I get so frustrated. I'm always like, I don't know how these people know their type. Like, how do you even answer these questions? Like,
Yeah.
I can't even put myself in a type. So
Exactly.
with this, it's like, it has nothing to do with answering the questions. It's just like based on your chart.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
makes so much more sense to me
Yes. Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So if
And
somebody's like
yeah.
doesn't believe in astrology, like they've never done anything with astrology, they don't read their horoscope, they've never believed that any of that has any relevance at all, could they still benefit from this, or would this just be not for them?
So again, it comes back to who, their own decision making. However, like when Ra created this, and it came through him, he channeled it and he laid it all out. He didn't want it to be quote unquote woo woo, right? He's like, no, I want people to see this as a science. So
Yep.
he really like they worked on this. Him and his original students worked on this for 30 years
Mm-hmm.
to get to this place where it's more scientific based and then an experiment versus woo woo and a belief system.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you watch the mechanics operate in the life, you're like, oh, they're right here. You know, like I can hear in your voice, like I can hear who you are. I can hear that intuition. I can hear you identify. I can hear these things in your voice because the mechanics are there, they're operating. So I would say to someone who doesn't quote unquote believe astrology, just experiment with the decision making. Don't allow for your conditioned mind to, of course, because conditioning is a belief, right? That's how we get conditioned is through people's beliefs, our people, people around us, all those beliefs and other people's opinions. We get conditioned and pulled off center. But just go in and experiment with the decision making. That's all I would say. And then just watch how when you don't allow for the reactive, scary, freaked out mind to make decisions for you, and your physical body can actually, lean into its own intelligence, all of a sudden everything changes.
Mm. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So good. Well, I know we're coming up on our
Yeah.
time here, but before we close this out, well, of course, you're gonna have a chance to tell everybody all the places that they can find you. But before that, I would love for you to just, if there's anything I didn't ask you or anything that you want to say or add to what we've already spoken about, have at it. Just give whatever you feel is left to give for to make this conversation feel good for you.
So the only thing I think that I would really reiterate is don't let the conditioned mind play havoc in your life.
Mm,
The nasty natter chatter, shoulda, woulda, coulda comparison, don't let that be your reality, because it's absolutely useless. The minute you can make your mind an ally and you can make decisions correctly, like, the world just looks brighter. Things
mm,
just open up. So that's all I
mm.
would say.
That's such good advice because I've been in the chatter for the last 8 days and
Mm,
having a really hard time navigating through something and trying to figure stuff out and going back and forth like a ping pong ball, like about the best, and not to mention all of the opinions of everybody else. That just confuses matters even more when
yes.
I know the answer is in me, it's not out
Mhm.
there,
Yep.
and everybody has a different opinion, which just makes me even more confused, so let me just ask you a quick question about that. So as
Mhm.
far as the decision making, like how, when you get to this place that you're talking about where
Mhm.
you're able to do that without the chatter, does that also help you navigate through, people that care about you are going to express their opinion about what they think you should do, right? But
Yep.
will you still be able to stand strong in your own knowing, even though you're getting all of these outside influences giving you different ideas than what might be your actual truth?
Well, I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to give a caveat to that, because if you do not trust yourself, the outside influences will always pull you off your game.
Mm,
So if you can trust your decision making and stand true in it, then you're solid. Then you're good.
mm, good answer. I like that.
Yep.
So how does a person get to a place where they can trust? Is it just a decision that they make or?
Yep. Just for me, it goes back to the experiment. Just keep playing with it. Right.
Mm-hmm,
So for you, it's that response mechanism, but you're also emotional. So it's like time has to pass by,
mm-hmm.
because
Yes.
you're here to gather emotional intelligence about this response. So maybe it's a yes, and your sacral goes, I want to do this. But your emotional center says, listen, in order for us to stay in a regulated state, I just need you to be patient, and we're going to enter in at the correct time.
Mm,
Okay. That's what the nervous system wants. Don't get all spontaneous and jump into shit that isn't correct. Okay.
mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can swear here. I just
It's
did.
fine.
So,
All good.
okay. So, your emotional intelligence, your nervous system wants to have a regulated state before it uses its energy, period. So, for me, I'm sacral driven. I move really quick. There's no awareness there. It's just I have available energy or I don't. But for you, that response happens. And then your emotional center says, listen, the nervous system needs to be regulated. Let me get to regulation and then we'll move forward. If
Okay.
it's a no, it's a no. What that's telling you is that the nervous system is never going to be regulated around using your energy. You pull out. Okay. But if it's a
Mm-hmm,
yes, it's all about timing. That's it for you. Because
mm-hmm.
you teach us, okay, because you have the emotional center defined. Your role is to teach us what a regulated nervous system looks like.
Hmm.
Okay. And when you represent that, now myself, I don't have that defined. I can look towards that for the wisdom that I need to then recognize, oh, what triggers my emotional system? That's what I learned from you.
Hmm. This is so interesting. I love it.
Yeah.
So, if you want to share a little bit about the different ways that people can work from you or where they can find your work and all the things,
Right.
I would love for you to let people know. And I'll also, just so everyone knows, they'll also all be in the show notes. But if anybody's like driving and just wants to hear you say the things, then
So my website is powerofself.ca. I'm Canadian. So you can find your chart there. I'm also going to provide you with a link to it's about a 1 hour training around decision making
Yay.
because I think it's very important. So I'm going to give that link to you as well so that you can provide that to your people. And then I'm also on YouTube. So I have a YouTube channel. It's just my name, Leann, Leann, Wolff, Wolff. And it's all things human design, lots of business related information on there. And like I teach this. This is what I do. I have a self-study and a mentorship. So you grab the self-study and then you get the mentorship. First 3 months is included. And I teach you all aspects of this because it's not, it's a very complex system. Of course, I was someone as an investigator. That's who I am. I had to learn the whole freaking thing. So what I did is I took 30 years of material and I put it into a self-study for people so that they can actually get it in a linear way. And I geared it towards coaches, spiritual entrepreneurs, anybody that works with other humans, so that you learn the basics. And then from there, if you are a business coach, there's a section. If you're a relationship coach, there's a section. You're a family and child coach, there's a section. Health and wellness, there's a section. So that you get the basics and then you get to branch out and really lean into what your specialty really is. So
Sounds amazing. So
yeah,
that's all on your website too.
that's
They
all on
can,
my website. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's what did you say? Power dot C.
Powerofself.ca.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like I said, that'll be in the show notes, but I love that. I love that domain name. That's awesome. All right. Well, I just want to
Awesome.
say thank you so much.
Thank
If you
you.
had anything else you wanted to say in closing.
I really appreciate your space. Thank you to your audience because I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have anybody to listen to me. So I love this, as you can tell. So if anybody needs assistance or wants to reach out, I am here. This is what I get to do for fun.
I love it. And yeah, and definitely go get your chart on Leann's site.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be so I love that she provides a video with it. Don't forget. So she'll be able to
Yeah.
kind of give you some guidance with that. I love that
Yeah.
because it is complex.
Very.
And I personally don't want to be left by myself with a chart and try to figure it out. So
Yep.
I'm so happy that you provide that video. And I learned a lot about myself today by having you
Yeah.
just briefly talk about my chart. So I can only
Yes.
imagine how much more layers of it there are in it. Um,
Yes.
so good. Well, thank you so much,
Thank
Leann.
you,
It's been a
Amy.
pleasure talking to you and
Same.
I love this conversation. And we will be talking to you again soon. See you guys in the next episode. Have a
Awesome.
great day and bye for now.